National Signing Day is coming up here. What is it, Stewie? December 20th? It's coming up in mid-December. The first signing period is coming up. You're in the teeth of recruiting high school players and junior college players right now. I mean, it is a real busy. State championships are coming up in states around the country where college coaches are going to be all over the place. I mean, it's just it's a crucial time in college football right now. I mean, there's a lot of emphasis on this time for programs all over the country, whether you're contending, whether you're still alive, whether you're a team like Alabama and Georgia and playing in a title game. There's still a ton of work that's being done for off-the-field stuff looking towards next season that is happening within this window that I honestly am surprised that you have not heard any movement on LSU's staff because of all of the expectation, or at least you figured there would be some type of shakeup with the production lack of that you saw on the defensive side of the ball this season. I mean, last week, whether it was Wilson, whether it was Jacques, whoever was coming in here who covers the news daily, I mean, we were telling them, like, you're going to probably be pretty busy next week, starting pretty early, and being that we're here on Tuesday morning at 15 past the hour. And we don't have a lot of news to talk about from LSU. I mean, they picked up a junior college defensive tackle in Shone Washington yesterday, a New Orleans native, prepped at Warren Easton, signed with Georgia, ended back at JUCO, and was, again, a big-time prospect and somebody that LSU had to get. They closed on him yesterday, so that's that's good news there. But I will be honest and say I am surprised that there is no movement, no noise, no anything coming from LSU, just because of how crucial this time is of selling messages, whether it's to your current team, because you gotta believe that defensive players for LSU right now have some questions. Right? I mean, these exit meetings that are happening. I saw Brian Kelly on Paul Feinbaum earlier this week talking about kind of what the schedule looks like without a championship game. And, exit meetings, spend about 20 minutes face-to-face per player. I imagine the defensive side's got, some questions like we
talk about it every day.
What's next season look like?
I mean, you got to have – it should be Mason Smith, Mekhi Wingo, like those dudes should be talking. Like it should be like, you should come back next year. You'd be a first-round pick next year. Not this year. You won't be. I promise you won't be.
And if Mekhi Wingo would have played out, I guess, the rest of the year, that's where the injury, I guess, helps you in a sense if you're strictly selfishly from an LSU standpoint. If he continues to play the way that was, because he was always flashing on tape, he was working on getting a pretty high draft grade, I'd imagine. Not first round, but draftable player. Now if you come back with I don't know what they're going to do on the defensive line, and as far as the head coach, Jimmy Lindsey, put out a cryptic tweet that was "Go Tigers," but it was the Obama piece. Like, I don't know if that means – I don't know what that means.
It's probably just him, I guess, getting a recruit.
Yeah, I don't know if that's him getting a recruit or like
yeah,
love y'all, I'm out. So I don't know what that was. So that's what I'm saying. You got to figure out the defensive line front and who's going to coach him up. For Mekhi Wingo, if you get a chance to come back with a healthy Mason Smith and kind of run that thing back, you could see a potentially, improve your stock a little bit. Those are the conversations you're having.
No, you have to be having those right now. And
using all those tokens in NCAA football to get your guys back.
I mean, you're also talking to a lot of these youngsters that
didn't get a lot of playing
time, or annoyed with how the freshman season had gone, or have questions about how and where they fit in. I mean, there's a lot of questions right now that are very crucial to what the future of the program is going to look like. And, not having key figures in place or keeping figures in place that, didn't validate the production that you needed on that side of the ball. I am a little surprised that we are here on Tuesday morning and don't have a lot of news to talk about with LSU football. I know yesterday that we made some headlines talking about Matt House and our feeling and what we had kind of gathered in the feeling and talking to some people that he would be back. A day later, I feel even more secure on those feelings and talking to more people. I believe that House is going to return for LSU, and that there was or should is going to be some shakeup on the staff, but that the fact that we haven't seen that is.
And BK said in the
kind of weird.
In the fine bump thing, he said 7 to 10 days is how long the evaluation period will be. So I'd imagine that started yesterday, so probably by the end of the week. Maybe I don't know if that's a long time, but BK's on BK's time.
I agree. Who the hell am I to say what's going on with the calendar? But this is a very just the day. It's hours and minutes mean something on these days.
Do you think it's something like? Because Keelan Moses commits Friday,
right?
Do you think it might be something with that too? Like you got a lot of players that's going to be committing, making their decisions within the next 2 months, and if you don't have a defensive coordinator, a lot of those kids are going to be like,
whoa.
I don't know about LSU because they don't even have a defensive coordinator. We don't even know who's going to be coaching us. And Keelan Moses specifically, Matt House is his position coach. So if LSU gets rid of him, it's now you put Keelan Moses you handcuff him.
That's
it's a lot.
That's the exact example that I'm talking about. Of just how crucial this time is. I got to imagine that Keelan Moses, with the caliber of recruit that he is, he's privy to just about whatever information he needs to make that decision. If they're not making a move, he knows it. If they're making a move and there's a short list of people that they're talking to, he probably knows the short list of the people that they're talking to. He's that caliber of a player where you're not trying to play any games with him. You know what I mean? You don't want to dupe him and say, "Hey, commit to us on," because ultimately a commitment is nothing.
No,
right?
These days,
you know what I mean? If you want to try and dupe a commitment and say, you're keeping a guy, then he commits and you fire a guy. It's not as if you got one over on him.
No.
He can simply say, okay, well, sweet, I'm just going to switch the hat, right? You should have just told me last week what you were doing, so it would have been gone a lot similar. A lot simpler. So, I agree that there is that component in play, but these are just all of the things that it's one of all of the things that is happening right now on the calendar in college football that you just have to be prepared for. You saw yesterday in Gainesville, obviously, a huge story that shook up and had some waves that were crashing here in Baton Rouge is that Corey Raymond was released yesterday over in Florida by the Gators. And, obviously, he spent 10 seasons at LSU where he coached DBs. He was the DBs coach and cornerbacks coach from 2012 through 2021. He was also the recruiting coordinator for his last 2 seasons here. He produced 7 first-team All-Americans while he was here. Eric Reed, Jalen Mills, Jamal Adams, Tre'Davious White, Greedy Williams, Grant Delpit, Derek Stingley.
The list goes on.
Delpit won the Thorpe Award while he was here.
Stingley should have won it while he was here.
Yeah, Stingley should have been the SEC Freshman of the Year.
Bo
Nix got the Freshman
robbed
of the
him
Year.
Of that. Because still to this day, anybody that wants to go back and forth with me on this, we can. Stingley is the best true freshman
ever.
Tyrann Mathieu, all of them. Stingley, now Tyrann Mathieu is in that, he's right there. But, what Stingley did from start to finish was,
at a position
he was the best player on that defense. From start to finish.
From the start of this.
From start to finish. There was times where he dipped and kind of, but he was a true freshman. But bell to bell, from the start line to the finish line, 24 was the best player on that team. You could have argued he could have been the Thorpe Award winner that season.
Yeah. He should have been.
Really and truly.
He had 6 interceptions.
And he guarded the other team's best player.
Every game. The Texas game.
The Texas game alone.
That's when I was like, this kid is a
He picked that pass off on the corner.
He did.
On the sideline.
No, the referee was like, that just can't happen. That's
we're not giving him that.
It's impossible.
I think the better play was...
Who was that, Duvernay?
No, it was Colin Johnson. The big 6'6" dude. But the best play I think he made that day was the one where he
forced him out of bounds.
Yeah, he swats it away and forces him out of bounds.
Yeah.
Just
so smooth.
How do you as a 18-year-old, 17-year-old, how do you even know how to do that?
The technique
He's
that
got
he had.
back-to-back interceptions in the NFL.
Oh,
Last 2 weeks.
It's starting to click.
We're going to Houston this weekend.
We're
going to sit in his suite this weekend and watch him play the Broncos.
Sean.
Yeah, C.J. Stroud too.
But Stingley will have plenty of opportunities to make a play.
But Corey Raymond, yeah, no doubt. And he'll be guarding
Sutton
19. Sutton. But I mean, look, you bring up Corey Raymond's name, and people stop in their tracks as far as LSU defensive backs go, right? I mean, he was here during the golden age of that DBU run, right? Where, I mean, on the heels of 2012, where, Matthew and that crew are coming off of the 2011 season. Still to this day, the 2012 training camp, where you had 2 weeks of Matthew on the field with Eric Reed, with Jalen Mills, with Thorold Simon, with that crew, was still. I still remember being on those practice fields for those 2 days and watching that crew go through training, and it was surreal. I mean, it was like watching a Pro Bowl defensive back practice. I mean, they were so good, and Jalen Mills was a young freshman on that team that you could see they believed in and were going to bring along, and he had to play. I believe like Micah Eugene. Remember him? He was young on that team. I mean, he was kind of a freak athlete.
He had to step into the role for Tyron.
He did, and was not prepared for it. I mean, obviously, he was a freshman. Obviously, I mean,
same thing with Jalen Mills. Had to be a 4-year starter because of the. I mean, you lose Tyron Matthew, you got to plug a lot of holes in that boat. You got to plug all of a sudden, and you had guys that had to step up, and you can scrutinize them or whatever, but there were 4 and 5-star recruits that you got in the building, and that's the other thing that you get if Corey Raymond comes back home. You talk about Frank locking down the state in terms of like running backs and whatever else you want to put him on. It gives him help to recruit. And Corey Raymond will lock down the state and get you the Louisiana guys that you want to see come play at LSU. And you don't lose a Jacoby Matthews. You don't lose a Derek Williams. Like, those guys are lining up in purple and gold. You saw how much it meant to Malik Neighbors to play for LSU. I saw the tweet that you put out. Man, just weeping on the field. He doesn't want to leave. He just has to.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, the Devin White.
Yeah.
That
man rode his horse through campus.
He was pleading to come back. They were like, Devin.
Coach, I just want to bring my horse to campus.
We can't do this, man. I mean,
Daisy May.
We can't do it, man.